Below is your full 1,400 to 1,700 word voiceover script, written in authentic American storytelling style, with a strong hook, natural emotional rhythm, cinematic scenes. No unnecessary line breaks, and all names are places changed for uniqueness. It's designed to sound like a real person telling their own lived experience. Warm, raw, bitter, funny in the right spots, and powerful at the end. Dashes used instead of M dashes, no ellipses except triples, and the flow is continuous as requested. Title: The Day I Finally Stopped Being Small. Voiceover script approx. 15 to 20 words. You ever have a moment where someone talks to you like you're nothing, like you're supposed to shrink just to make room for their ego? Yeah. This is the story of the day I finally decided I wasn't shrinking anymore. And trust me, it didn't happen quietly. I was 29, living in a little town called Redfield Crossing, small enough that folks knew each other's business, but big enough that you could still disappear if you wanted to. I worked at a local outdoor supply store, Sawyer's Trail Depot, a place that smelled like pine cleaner and last year's fishing bait. I'd been there for almost a year trying to keep myself together after a rough patch in life. Before that, well, I'd been drifting. A couple jobs that didn't last, a relationship that should have ended long before it did, and a whole childhood full of people telling me I'd never fit in. You know what I mean? But Sawyer's felt like stability. I liked the steady rhythm of sorting camping gear, explaining headlamps to dads who thought they knew everything, and joking with the regulars who always bought the same jerky sticks at the counter. And, for the most part, people left me alone. Except for one guy. My store manager, Rick Mallory. If insecurity ever walked around wearing a polo shirt tucked into khakis, I swear, it would be Rick. He was the type who needed to be the smartest, the loudest, the one in control. But instead of earning respect, he tried to yank it out of people, especially people he thought he could push around. People like me. I was quiet then, kind of kept my head down, and I think he mistook that for weakness. Now, the day everything blew up didn't start dramatic. It was a normal Thursday. Hot, sticky, the kind of weather where you feel like you're sweating underneath your soul. I came in early to set up a big shipment of kayaks because we had a weekend sale coming up. I remember feeling kind of proud of myself, humming stacking boxes, pretending I was at least a semi-functional adult. I thought it would be a good day. But then Rick walked in. He had that look. The one where you know he's already mad about something that ain't your fault, and you're about to be the unlucky target. He stopped right in front of the kayaks I'd just arranged and said, "Who told you to stack them like this?" I told him nobody. It was just the layout we used last season. His face twisted like he tasted something sour. Well, last season, we actually had employees who knew what they were doing. Then, he kicked the bottom kayak with his boot, knocking the whole thing sideways. I tried to laugh it off like, "Hey, I can fix it, no big deal." But he stepped closer, real close, and pointed at my chest like he was scolding a child. That's the problem. Everything with you is no big deal. It's sloppy, and I'm sick of covering for you. If you can't do the basics, maybe this place isn't for you. And something inside me cracked. Not loud, not explosive. Just a small, painful pop like a wire inside me had been stretched too tight for too long. Still, I swallowed it, because that's what I always used to do. Around noon, the store filled up. The AC died again. Kids were crying, dogs were barking, the fishing section smelled like old buckets. It was chaotic, but I handled it. And maybe that's why Rick got angrier, because the more I kept things smooth, the less he felt needed. Then came the moment that changed everything. A woman came in looking for a camping stove. Nice lady, soft voice, looked tired like she had 3 kids at home and exactly 2 were listening. I helped her test the display model, talked her through the fuel caps, told her which one wouldn't blow her eyebrows off if she lit it wrong. She laughed, thanked me, said I was a lifesaver. She walked to the counter and Rick swooped in like he'd been waiting in a tree for the exact moment to pounce. He told her the stove I recommended was not appropriate for beginners and that employees like me should stay in my lane. The lady looked confused, embarrassed. Then she apologized to me even though she didn't do anything wrong and bought the stove Rick pushed on her instead. When she left, Rick turned to me, voice low, sharp. I don't know what's in that head of yours, but I run this store. You don't, and if you ever undermine me again, you won't have a job tomorrow. Something inside me flared. Not anger, not yet, just heat. The kind that climbs up your throat when someone thinks you're too small to fight back. But I stayed quiet, kept my hands steady, kept breathing. A few minutes later, he called me to the back. Not the break room, the storage room. No cameras, concrete floor, metal shelves. The kind of place where sound bounces and humiliation echoes longer. He shut the door, leaned against it, arms crossed. "Let's make something clear," he said. "You're not here because you're good. You're here because I was willing to take a chance on someone who looked like you." He didn't specify what "like you" meant, but the way he paused, the way his eyes scanned me, every old wound in my life understood exactly what he meant. Then he said it. "People like you need to know their place." I felt the heat rise again. Higher this time, sharper, like a flame licking at the edges of everything I'd swallowed for years. But he wasn't done. "I'm giving you two choices. Quit now, or accept that you'll do what I say, how I say it. Every shift, every hour. I own your performance here." Understood. And that flame, yeah, it finally burst. I don't even remember standing up straighter. I just suddenly wasn't small anymore. My voice came out steady, almost calm. "No, actually, I don't think you do own anything here. Not me, not my performance, and definitely not my dignity." He laughed loud and mocking. "You think you have dignity left after today, after the mess you've made in front of customers. You're lucky I haven't written you up for insubordination." I stepped closer. For the first time, I watched him back up. "I didn't mess up today," I said. "You did. When you tore down my work. When you embarrassed that customer just to contradict me. When you talked to me like I wasn't human. I'm done letting you do that." His jaw clenched. His face turned this blotchy shade of red I'd never seen before. "If you walk out that door, you're fired." "Good," I said. "Write it down if it makes you feel better." And I walked out of the storage room. Past him. Past the customers. Past the whole messy store that had once felt like safety. But here's the twist. Here's the part I didn't expect. About an hour after I left, while I sat in my car shaking but free in a way I'd never felt before, my phone rang. Unknown number. It was the regional manager for Sawyer's. He'd gotten a call from the woman with the camping stove. She told him everything she witnessed. How I'd been patient and helpful. How Rick gaslit her and contradicted me out of pure ego. How he kicked the kayaks. How he grabbed my arm at the counter, something I hadn't even realized she saw. She said, and I quote, "Your employee was professional. Your manager was not." The regional manager asked me to come in the next morning. So I did. And when I walked into the office, Rick was already there, but not on the good side of the desk. His face was drained, his knee bouncing like he swallowed a storm. The regional manager asked me to tell my side, and I did. Not angrily, not dramatically, just honestly. I told him what happened, what was said, what had been said for months. And the whole time, Rick kept trying to interrupt until the regional manager held up a hand and said, "Quiet." Then he looked at me and said the most unexpected thing I'd heard in a long time. "We should have protected you better." Then he looked at Rick. "You're done here." Rick exploded. Claimed the store would fall apart without him. Said I was lying, said the customer exaggerated. But the regional manager didn't budge. He fired him on the spot. Clean, direct, no ceremony. And then he offered me Rick's temporary position until they found a new manager, higher pay, actual authority, real trust. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt taller than I'd ever been. I didn't take the permanent job, though. Funny, right? I realized I didn't want to manage a store. I just wanted to stop surviving and start living. I took the raise, took the confidence, and used both to get a job at an outdoor program for at-risk teens 2 towns over. Best decision of my life. Those kids, they see me, and I see them, and none of us shrink anymore. So yeah, that's the day I stopped being small. But let me ask you something, and I really want you to answer in the comments, not just think about it. When someone like Rick tries to put you in a box, tries to decide your worth before you even open your mouth, do you stay quiet? Do you swallow it because it's easier? or do you push back even when your voice shakes? And more important, should people like that get second chances, or are some lines too far to come back from? Tell me what you think below, because the truth is most of us have met a Rick. Some of us have been a Rick without realizing. And the way we talk about accountability says a lot more about us than about them. If this story hit you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that they're not small, not weak, and definitely not alone. And if you've lived something like this, I hope today is the day you stop shrinking too. If you want, I can also produce a shorter 8-minute version, a more intense cinematic drama. Rewrite, a male or female narrator version. A TikTok-style condensed script. Just tell me the format you want.